back to Depression Street.
Strand of liberalism that does not actually want to collapse into socialism and does not. We're just not in that strand of liberalism right now.
It's not socialism that it's collapsing into, right? What you have is the distinction between the sort of English tradition of politics, which became formally abridged into the doctrine of liberalism, classical liberalism, right? And then you have the people who say, okay, but if you're going to adopt these principles, then you're not taking this far enough. What you are being is essentially dishonest. And that's a strong charge. Why should it be that some people have and some people don't? If you're meant to be acting as if you are the guardian of a bunch of natural rights, if people can't exercise those rights, well, now you have an obligation. So it's not.
Haven't heard this argument before, but I'm already sort of. Thanks, I hate it. The goal of liberalism is not to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to fully utilize their rights to the same extent everyone else can. They are allowed to do so, but we're not trying to empower them to be able to do so just as powerfully as anyone else can. There are extents of it which are outside the control of the state or of anyone else, and you would have to start making arbitrary adjustments to make that change. Like the whole, free speech, for example. Yes, you're free to speak, but there's nothing in liberalism that even implies that you should therefore be granted by the state the ability to be heard by everyone in the nation. Nothing about liberalism implies that. Now, I know you're not necessarily saying it does, but you're making the charge that it's an easy argument to make against liberalism. Actually, you did say they kind of have a point, but I don't think they do. It simply isn't part of liberal doctrine, and it's not implicit either. You have the ability to. We're not going to stop you from doing it. That doesn't mean we're going to empower you to be just as capable of it as everyone else. The point of liberalism, as far as I'm concerned, is, as I said earlier, to create a basic level playing field of such that the only things that really matter in differentiating people are the things we should care about. Merit, i.e., of its various forms. There are exceptions where you can't do that. If someone is disabled, for example, you can't really. You have to build infrastructure to give them the same sort of access to society. But even that is like the physical differences are kind of a valid exception. But even that, you could argue, they still have access to the same basic rights. It's just sort of some additional things they don't. But the level playing field is not perfectly level. It's as close as we can get it without too much interference. And the rest of it is merit.
And even when it comes to disabled people, it's like, it sucks. But to quote Jordan Peterson, it's unfortunate, but some people also are born dead.
Yeah.
You're not complaining about them. There, of course, are things that we cannot control about ourselves that are outside of our scope of control, for lack of a better term. But those are the things that shape us. Those are the things that shape us, ourselves. You know, I was born with a half-functioning left eye. That means I'm never going to be able to pilot a plane or a ship or anything like that. But I don't let that define me. I don't let that stop me from doing a bunch of other stuff I want to do. I have to wear glasses. But which also means I'm never going to be able to do anything that requires me to do any type of fine spotting without the use of these metal things or contact lenses or something like that. And the only reason why these inventions were created was because of the society that we have around us that allowed smart, good people to make things that allowed people with these disabilities to live better lives. And like, again, it's something that quote unquote progressives do, where they obsess over that. They focus on that because you will always hear this. It's like, well, what is a woman? And it's like, oh, XY chromosome or whatever, and
exactly.
That. And
geological chromosomes.
Birthing, geological chromosomes. XX chromosomes and what about genetic defect? What about this? What about that? It's this obsession with the exception proves the rule, with the exception, proves the rule type of thing. And it's like, no, the exception does not prove the rule. The exception is
you could say
something
the
that should be factored in.
Disproves the value, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. And it's that it's that thing where it's like, hey, you want to actually help people who are disabled? Work with us to build a better society that will create better technology that will give them a better quality of life. That is our responsibility as able-bodied, free-thinking, intelligent people who are capable of building society better than what we inherited. That's what we should be doing.
So, yeah, well.
No, I was just going to say it's. I mean that's not really something that Sargon is saying, but like it's something that always is caught in my craw, where it's like we should not be focusing 100%. Again, it's like trans people who make up 0.01% of the population, and we are spending so much of our cultural attention on this incredibly minute, mentally ill minority. We are obsessing over these incredibly small group of people. It's like, why? Why are we doing that? We should be focusing on making the overarching world a better place, not making these mentally ill people who should be getting treatment more comfortable. That's the issue.
Jack says the problem is that natural human inclination towards empathy and compassion means someone will always be driven by their sympathy toward the less fortunate in life to demand that society kowtow to those people, and liberalism has no answers to their demands. Yes, it does.
Yeah,
no protected classes, no state intervention, no positive rights. Job done.
Yeah. Everyone is treated the same. Yep. Everyone has the same opportunity. If because you ain't got no legs, you are not able to take advantage of that opportunity. Sorry, but we will do our best to help you. But you do not get overt special treatment because of a disability. You could be given. Now, here's the thing: charity, yes.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's an ideology for a high trust society. It doesn't guarantee that disabled people will have quality of life. The people's good nature does, or it gets close, gets much closer. And we do, it's an ideology for societies where people do have good nature. This is why mass importation of third worlders is such a bad idea, and mass deportation of third worlders is kind of essential. Because
that is the epitome. Jack, that is the epitome of liberalism.
Yeah.
Jack, giving everyone an equal opportunity is liberalism.
Yeah.
That is the textbook liberalism. You're not being liberal. No, that is as high as liberalism can go. Should go. It shouldn't go any higher than that. Anything more is preferential treatment, and that therefore it is not what we consider to be liberal.
And beyond that,
you do not get special treatment.
And beyond that, Jack and others, if you're going to criticize liberalism, make sure that you're also noting how other ideologies would deal with it. If you had powerful interest groups pushing for protected classes in a fascist system, well, as long as they have enough social power, those classes are going to be protected far more aggressively by the state, which already happens under a national socialist or fascist system. You already have usually some sort of protected class, at least under Hitler you did. And under communism and socialism, it's a mess. But you quite often have anti-protected classes. You wear glasses? The state's not going to protect you at all. And they're not the only two alternatives, but they are the two most loud alternatives. And most other systems are, in fact, liberalism with some additional sort of add-on bits. But no, the principles of liberalism work on their own. The only way that it's a problem is if those principles are eroded. And again, find me an ideology that is not subject to change over time that could potentially make it worse. The only difference is that liberalism is far more flexible and adaptable because the people are so free and able to deal with it themselves, and because what the state should be doing is so minimal that people can attempt to solve it themselves. And even today, even with all the problems we have, you see that there are genuine efforts and movements in the direction of solving it, which are having some success already.
And the problem is French liberalism seeped into our society post World War II. Yes, that's what we call corruption. And as Uzalu said, show me a system that is immune to corruption.
Yeah.
Show me one.
Somna says, the protected classes, like members of the liberal leadership in good ideological standing, that shouldn't happen. and I don't think it does in a properly liberal system. You're going to get people with higher social or political capital. You could word it that way, Somnus, but I don't think that's really what it is. If you set forward the standards of the nation and they don't significantly erode or get destroyed, which is very much possible, it's happened in some countries for a long time, then you don't need to worry about that. It just doesn't happen. Because if you're following the principles of the nation, then yes, social connections, political standing, but these things are part of merit in a way.